The National Defense Budget Function, $766 billion in 2022, excludes expenditures by the State Department and certain Department of Energy programs. The U.S. Representative Ms. Porter and Ms. Crockett were very elegant on displaying enormous amount of waste, cost overruns, fraud, and financial mismanagement that have plagued the Department of Defense and the military-industrial complex for decades. Must watch. Happen Just Now. Enjoy hearing your thoughts. Please leave comments. Thanks.
Today, we are going to play a new game. Welcome to Jeopardy! Where our witnesses will uncover waste, missing guardrails, and the enablers who make our defense budget balloon. Witnesses, you'll pick a category and a point amount. I'll read you a prompt, and just like in regular Jeopardy, you'll give the answer in the form of the question. For example, if I read, the Congresswoman hosting Jeopardy! You will say, who is Katie Porter? Let's get started. Mr. Tenaglia. Enablers for 100. A president who called how much we spend on defense crazy, but let defense spending grow by over $100 billion in one term.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Really? You don't know who called the defense budget crazy? Who is Donald Trump? Mr. Mansfield.
Enablers for 200.
Enablers for 200. A member of Senate leadership who recently said funding the Pentagon at $886 billion would mean defense is radically underfunded.
I don't know the answer.
Who is Mitch McConnell? Mr. Khan, you can easily be the winner here.
I'll take waste for 300.
Great choice. Waste for 300. Ineffective DoD assets that cost about $600 million to build and are now being decommissioned before the end of their useful life.
I'm drawing a blank there, sorry.
What are littoral combat ships? You're familiar with this program. Mr. Tenaglia.
Enablers for 300.
Pardon me?
Enablers for 300.
Enablers for 300. Individuals who get rich while pushing to overspend our tax dollars.
I don't know.
Who are defense lobbyists? Mr. Mansfield.
Waste for 200.
Waste for 200. I'm really counting on you here, Mr. Mansfield. A program that is $183 billion over budget and 10 years behind schedule.
What is the Joint Strike Fighter program?
What is the what?
Is it the Joint Strike Fighter program?
That's correct. What is the F-35 program? Correct. Mr. Khan.
Missing guardrails for 200.
Missing guardrails for 200. The institution that has authorized more defense spending than the president requested for the current fiscal year. Who has authorized more defense spending than the president requested for this current 2023 fiscal year?
I would say it's the Armed Services Committee.
We'll give you that. Who is Congress? Mr. Tenaglia, I'd really love to see you get one right here. I'm rooting for you.
Missing guardrails for 100.
Missing guardrails for 100. This one I think you're going to know. A review that every agency has passed except the DoD.
What is an audit?
What is an audit? Correct. Mr. Mansfield.
We'll go with missing guardrails for 300.
Missing guardrails for 300. This is a really good one. The percentage of DoD's assets that it cannot account for.
61%.
61%.
What is 61%?
Huh?
What is 61%?
What is 61%? So I read the question wrong. The percentage of DoD assets that it can account for is 39%. You're right. Cannot account for 61%. Can account for 39. All right, Mr. Khan.
Is that double jeopardy?
Yes.
100.
This is it. Waste for 100. DoD assets that have been lost, damaged, or destroyed to the tune of millions of dollars based on a May GAO report. What are spare aircraft parts? We're out of time for Jeopardy DoD, and the winner here today should be the American people. Because no matter who uncovers the most waste, the important thing is that we provide long overdue oversight to the taxpayers. Look, politicians and lobbyists play the same spending game year after year, and that is not getting us to a responsible defense budget. Nobody's going to
Mr.
win
Fallon.
until we start playing a new game. I yield back.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't want to be redundant. I think that if we haven't figured out by now, we know that y'all are constantly failing, right? And honestly, our job is to win for the American people. And so while this committee tends to be probably the most divided committee in the Congress, especially this Congress, it is amazing the times that we can agree. And we agree that right now taxpayer dollars are being wasted. I'm gonna just keep it all the way real. And what's frustrating to me is that while I applaud my colleagues from the other side of the aisle bringing this and pointing out that there is definitely a ridiculous amount of waste when it comes to defense, and that doesn't mean I'm anti-defense before the haters on Twitter start getting crazy, because we all want to be free, we all want to feel safe here in this country, and we appreciate what defense does for us. But everyone has to be held accountable, especially when we are dealing with the budget deficits that we're dealing with, especially when we are dealing with the inflation that we're dealing with. And unfortunately, I sat through Rules Committee this week, and it took everything in me not to blow up. Because I had colleagues from the other side of the aisle as we are dealing with NDAA, and we have real things to address, such as how are we going to get DOD on track? Do you know what they wanted to talk about? Do you know what these amendments are gonna deal with? They're gonna deal with things that don't have anything to do with the budget, such as they want to talk about if they're going to deny access to healthcare for women. That's a priority in NDAA. They wanted to talk about whether or not trans folk would have access to the health care that they need. That's what they want to talk about. They want to deal with the things, and of course they want to fight about Ukraine and not recognize that it is important that this modern day democracy is upheld. So what I want to talk about is getting to the point that, number one, we only got here because there were certain people that decided that they were going to hold the entire country hostage in the debt ceiling fight. And so as part of the agreement was that all of those people that need Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, all of those programs that people are relying upon, SNAP benefits, as we're dealing with record inflation, they got less money and defense got more. That is exactly what happened. Somebody got more, somebody got less, because we cared more about let's try to balance the budget on the backs of people that are only getting $6 a day for things like SNAP benefits, instead of focusing on the waste that's going on here. And so the only question that I have for you is, what do you need from us? What is needed so that we can actually stop being performative? Because what I don't want us to do is try to pretend as if we really care about this waste that's going on by having this hearing on the same day that, as it's already been said by my colleague, Mr. Biggs, this is gonna get voted out. And y'all are gonna get more money. That's gonna happen. And you know what? We're still gonna have more people that are facing homelessness in this country. We're still gonna have more people that are hungry in this country. And honestly, I can promise you, I would rather give more people that $6 a day to eat than to sit here and say, well, we just haven't fixed it. If we know that the problem is that we have not modernized, what is the problem with modernizing? Why can't we? Because it's not for a lack of resources. Is there anyone that can tell me why we cannot modernize, especially since we have the best military in this country, but we can't figure out how to count our money and count our guns? We can't figure that out. Somebody help me, anybody. This is a real question. What is the problem?
So with respect to clean audit and auditability, we, as has been previously said, retirement of the legacy systems is a significant part of the path to do that. And so we do need to get after that. That's the most significant from the procurement.
Let me stop you right there. We need to get after that. Tell me why we haven't, is my question.
I think it's just a matter of the number of systems that we're having to evaluate for retirement and incorporation of a modernized business process to capture.
Let me ask you this. So can we agree that all the systems need to go? I mean, how modern are any of these systems? Can we not just agree that we need to scrap it and we need to get up to date? This is the same body where we're dealing with AI conversations. Like we haven't even been brought up to today, let alone the future. Can we not just agree that we need to scrap and we need to move on instead of like pontificating? Because I feel like that's what's happening, and it's happening on the American people's dime.
The approach we're taking is to promulgate standards that are feeding the data between those systems. So regardless, I don't think it's realistic that we're going to be able to clean slate them all. And so the systems that we have, forcing procurement standards and other standards so that the systems can talk to one another.
And Mr. Chair, I know I'm out of time, but if I could just ask this last question. Can you give me a reasonable amount of time to get through to modernizing these systems? Just a reasonable number.
There's systems within my responsibility. I could speak to those, but I'm not familiar.
And okay, so speak to
I would
those.
say within a 5-year period.
Thank you so much. With that, I yield.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe and follow Happen Just Now for more content about accountability of all public officials and policies and procedures.